In geometry, we're going to be looking at two types of shapes, and we're going to look at the differences between these two shapes. Yes, of course, these are 2D shapes, but this one here specifically is a 2D shape, but while this one here is going to be a 3D shape. Therefore, the 2D shape here is known as a circle, and while the other shape here, which is a 3D shape, is labeled to be called a sphere. And since we're able to recognize this 3D and this here to be a 2D, there are two characteristics each that depends heavily on a specific parameter. This parameter that is shared between the 2D shape and the 3D shape is known as the radius, which is from the center of this shape to the outside of this shape, and this is represented as r, as well as this particular sphere, and from the center to the outer surface, this is represented as r. Now we have this parameter set. We are going to develop two classes of parameters that will be important to determine parts of a circle. For a sphere, we're going to determine the parts of a sphere. Now for a circle, we have the following. Now for the circle, we need to determine the circumference of the circle, which is the distance around the circle. And to determine the circumference of the circle, all we have to do is multiply r2 by pi, and our result will multiply by the radius. Or you can multiply your pi by your d, and your d represents the diameter of the circle, which is the distance through the center from one end of the circle to the other end, which is represented as d. And to determine d, all you do is multiply your 2 by your radius. The other parameter is the area, which is the space that your circle occupies. And to determine the area, what we have to do is to multiply the square of your radius by your pi, or what you can do is multiply the square of the diameter divided by 2 by your pi. And so these are the two parameters that you can extract from a circle based on the radius or based off of the diameter. Now moving on to the 3D shape of a circle, which is known as a sphere, there are also two parameters that you should generate from the sphere based off the radius. And the first is involves the surface of your sphere, or also known as the surface area of your sphere. And in order for we to accomplish this, all we have to do is multiply your radius squared by pi, and your result you multiply it by 4. Or for using the diameter of your sphere as shown right here, what we do is to multiply the square of the half diameter by your pi, and your result you multiply it by 4. Next is, how about we determine the space that your sphere occupies in 3D. This parameter is known as the volume. We need to be able to determine what this value is, parameter is, and to accomplish this, what we have to do is to multiply the cube of your radius by your pi, and your result you multiply it by 4/3. Or using the diameter, we know that our radius here is half the diameter, and you perform the cube of that, and your result you multiply by pi, and your result you multiply by 4/3. Now the big question is, what is our pi, as we see right over here for our volume, our surface area, our area of the circle, and our circumference. Pi is known to be an irrational number, and this value is 3.14, and it continues. So that is something to keep in mind, or you can write this as 22/7 in fraction form. So I hope you found this really informative in terms of circle, 2D, the two parameters to extract from the radius, and as well as for sphere, the two parameters you can extract from the radius. Please hit a comment down below. Let me hear your thoughts about this. By that way, we can talk to you all soon. Stay smart as always and believe in yourself.